You guys are muted.
Okay, I think we'll have you start over.
Not a problem. Can you hear me now, Christiana? Okay, good. The next item is an executive session for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions concerning the city's options for law enforcement services. The executive session participants will leave the public meeting following the passage of a motion to go into executive session, and the public meeting, both in person and remote, will remain open for the public to enter and leave as desired while the executive session is being held. Clearly, we're not doing that tonight. Since the public has left, and this is the last item on our agenda. The executive session participants will complete the executive session and then will re-enter the public meeting to proceed with the remainder of tonight's agenda. Are there any questions from City Council about the executive session process before a motion is brought forward? Okay, thank you. At this time, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session, but since there's a script here, I will make the motion if that's okay with everybody. I move to go into executive session under section 24-6-402 4B of the Colorado Revised Statute for legal advice on specific legal questions concerning options for law enforcement services. I further move to reconvene the March 21st City Council meeting at the conclusion of the executive session in order to proceed with the remaining items on the agenda. Do I have a second?
Seconds.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lutzen,
Yes.
Councilmember Hill,
Yeah.
Councilmember Grant,
Yes.
Councilmember Virginia is absent, Mayor Pro Tem Green,
Yes.
Mayor Labby,
Yes.
and Councilmember Little.
Yes.
It is March 21st, 2023. The time is now 8:31. For the record, I am Mayor Greg Lobby. As required by the open meetings law, this executive.
Hold on,
session-
Mayor. So I'm so sorry. We have to stop the recording of the public meeting now, go into the breakout room and start recording there.
Okay, thank you. The time is now 9:17 PM and the executive session has concluded. The participants in the executive session were Mayor Greg Lottie, Councilmember Tracy Lewison, Councilmember Tim Hill, Mayor Pro Tem Dana Green, Councilmember Christian Liao, Councilmember Shannon Grant, City Administrator Lori Simonson, Deputy City Clerk Hannah Shear, City Attorney Christiana McCormick, and Interim Police Chief Ken Chavez. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that substantial discussion of any materials not included in the motion to go into the executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I ask that you state your concerns for the record. Seeing none, pursuant to the motion passed prior to the executive session, we now reconvene the March 21st regular meeting at 9:18 PM. Thank you. We are now back in regular session. Before we go on to the next agenda item, is there any action that we feel like we would like to take?
I think it would be appropriate to hold a town hall to discuss what our police department will look like in the future with our community, including budget and values.
Okay, understood?
I think that's an excellent idea. We've set 2 work sessions.
I think we can table this one for,
I didn't want to table it much, you know, I agree with you. I want the public invited. Ken, did you have a comment?
I would offer the suggestion, if you do hold town hall, that you do it at the high school, which will give you plenty of room. Also a stage and a place and a screen where you can project images up and data up for the benefit of everybody.
But plus, it's a neutral site. I think I like that idea too.
Here was not, probably won't be big enough and not sufficient for a meeting like that.
Or afraid.
And it is neutral, you're right.
Freight, I would say, would hold better value with the Latino community. We use it regularly and are happy with the space.
You looked at that idea as well.
So why don't I do this? Why don't I get in touch with Freight and see when they have some space available?
That sounds good to me.
Okay.
How much longer do we have you? Is it not? I mean, I don't know, I don't remember.
Ken and I have talked, I mean, he is here and has been away from his family and has been gracious with his time. I think Ken has said he doesn't want to be here indefinitely. He has been an interim chief and he has stepped up to that task. We've talked about some dates, but I think, you know, I think May-ish, if I could bat my eyes, you know, we can talk. But I do know that he at some point would like to return to his.
For sure, and that's why I asked, because if we have until August, then it does give us some time to have that town hall and develop those values. Where I know we're not on your timeline, but that's to be considered.
I would like to see, this is just my thought process. Sometimes, and it doesn't have to be a chief thing, I mean, you know, that's our traditional city council night. But that 4th week in April, that might seem rushed, but I'm anxious to have this conversation.
If I may make a suggestion, you're also dealing with people in work nights and school nights. It may be better to go on a weekend. When you're not competing with that weekend night. I mean, you can do a couple of different town halls because you're not gonna get everybody at the same time. So you may end up doing with 2 or 3 different times, weekday, weekend, but you know, when you start getting into evening meetings, you've got school kids, you've got getting up for work the next day, businesses, so on and so forth. I would vary the dates and times.
That's maybe a couple of them. Maybe one on the weekend and one evening. And keep them in close proximity to each other.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so let me start with this. I'll reach out to Freight and see what dates we've got available, and then I'll work with either individually with you all, or I can make an announcement at the next opportunity meeting. You and I can chat.
Right, and ma'am, to answer your question, I haven't given a definitive date. But it's not open-ended forever and years and years and years. So I would definitely like to end it this year. And I understand, I have no dog in this fight. I will not be applying for this job. I will give you the benefit of 4 decades plus of work in this profession. But I have no dog in this fight for myself personally.
No, I appreciate that. And I really did just mean it from, if we've got you till August, then there is time to not rush it.
I think we've done.
I would say the sooner the better.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was not ever my plan, so the sooner the better, and I will tell you, Leadville has got under my skin, and I'm.
In a good way?
Yeah, it's in a good way, in a very good way. So I wanna see-
Some people say beautiful, huh?
Yeah.
So
Just take it on page.
And fall's magnificent.
To me, it's like being deployed only 7 days, 5 or 7 days at a time, but then I get to go home, so I've lived away from home much longer than this, but I put that in my past.
Okay, thank you all very much.
The mayor's rapidly losing his bet that we're gonna end at 9:15.
Oh, I lost that one. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that ship has sailed. Okay, next up, public meetings planner.
I think it looks good. I think there was only one addition from Claire Skeen, and I think that Hannah was able to note that.
I've got a couple notes, this coming Saturday, we have the awards ceremony at Station 2. It's not really a celebration of Station 2, so much as they want to do their awards ceremony there. We'll use our new speaker system. I'll set that up for that awards presentation. I plan to be there, and if anybody else can join us, I think that'd be great. On Friday, this is not a city thing, but it's going to affect the city. Lake County Community Fund is having a cross-country ski event with the director of the Denver Foundation, Javier Soto is going to be there. Mike Kendrick, the CEO of Climax, will be there along with his wife Gail, Melissa Kendrick. I think Commissioner Marcella is joining us, and I believe that Leslie Gomez from CMC is also going to do it. It's going to be a really fun event, but those are the kind of team building events that make a difference in terms of these conversations we're having with people on a variety of different topics. So I'm excited by that possibility. And this is actually about the 4th year in a row we've done this. So, and it's made a difference. We have the State of the Community on the 30th, the evening of the 30th from 5 to 7. I hope that as many of you as possible can make that event. I think it'll be a very, very interesting event. The city will do a presentation, the county will do a presentation on some business is presented as well. So that's it for me. I mean, I've got stuff in the ensuing months, but in the next couple of weeks, those things are all coming up. Anybody else have any changes to the planner or?
Will there be food and stand up?
Yes, there will. Yeah, we ordered food.
That makes it easy, it goes.
And there'll be alcohol, which I like. Anything else in the meetings planner?
I was gonna wait to talk about this till next month, but just maybe in light of our wanting to get more people on board, from the community. That in the 21st and 22nd of April is Future Town here in Leadville. There's a group out of Denver called Warm Cookies for the Revolution. It's a fantastic name. You should really go to their website because they're amazing. And their whole purpose is to increase civic engagement. And they're feeling that after you vote for, say, somebody in office, like your job doesn't end there. You have to be involved in the sanitation board or whatever, because those people will go on and make decisions that you may know nothing about. And so they have all of these things, these events down in Denver teaching you about like how sanitation works and what the sanitation board deals with, and the police department, what do they do? And yes, there are warm cookies at their events. So they partnered up with Lake County Build a Generation to see what kind of event might be a good fit for Leadville Lake County, and they came up with Future Town, which is, there'll be more details coming out, but there's going to be a bunch of different events, like having activities, learning about, recycling, how does our recycling situation work and what can we do to make it better and how can you be invested in that, and et cetera, et cetera. So that may be a place where we can,
We'll be there
yeah,
with the
set something.
booth and
Yep.
information, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Where's that taking
I'll talk
place?
about that more. It's
Yeah,
gonna be, well, it's 2 days, so the first evening's at Freight. The next day, there's a thing at the library, and then it's back at Freight.
Okay,
Elsie Beg just sent that out in their newsletter too.
Mhm, yeah.
Great, thank you.
fantastic, thank you.
And then a side thing, I went to Duluth last week, Minnesota. And I know I do not want to dissuade us from our commitment to paving our roads and focusing on problem areas like Sixth Street. But in case you are wondering if there is a municipality that has 100% worse roads than we do, it is Duluth.
Wow,
I was absolutely flabbergasted how completely horrible and full of potholes and off level things in their roads that they are, and I would just love to tune into one of their city council meetings and hear if they ever even talk about it, because I know we have improvements to be made, but we are not the worst.
thank you for the perspective. We're not the worst, we could put that on our gateway sign. All right, mayor's report, I want to tell you that the county had a hearing on the OHV ordinance. I think they're headed in the right direction. I have some thoughts, they took a lot of public input, it feels like they're listening. I really appreciate that, we'll see, they'll have their actual second reading of that ordinance on April 4th. Representative Patterson was here, it was really good. I could say I like her, but that's not enough. Representative Tipton was here a couple of times in the 7 years I've been here, and it was like you knew you were talking to a politician, and she doesn't feel that way to me. She feels much more genuine, and she was a listening session. I got warm fuzzies though, for what it's worth. She's a rookie, but she's been in state government. She just hasn't been a US representative. But on the other hand, we've already had more outreach from her staff on a variety of things. We never rejected it.
And I did ask her, that she had set up a local office, for people to reach out, and they're just waiting on a phone number.
Oh,
And they
really?
will let me know.
That's great. Well, Justin, her staff member, he lives in Penrose, but he's a staff member for these rural counties. He's been very good to work with also.
And I'm working with Justin as well to get more of a Latino outreach. I know that's a problematic area in our community. We don't have too many Latino community leaders, especially in elected office, but
We have about 10 times more than we had 5 or 6 years ago. I mean, it's really, I see it growing.
it's definitely growing. It's getting better, but it's not quite where it should be. And hopefully that is something that we can work with them on. Getting these leaders who may not feel comfort to be in these seats, but may feel comfort being in informal seats to take some more bigger step of these.
Great, thank you. And you're an important part of that, so thank you. Station 2 awards, I talked about those, cross country ski, talked about that. St. Patrick's Day Parade. Boy, you know what? The police department and street department is such a, for a kind of a nothing parade, I get it. But it's still a funky Leadville parade. And this was by far the best we've had because we didn't have cars coming in from the sides or coming at us, and it was great. So thank you.
We're gonna follow that model on the future parades. It's it actually is a lot more manpower, person power from our streets and police department to do
I get it.
that,
It was a lot more effort.
but it pays off, so.
We were
Thank you.
right down the middle of the street.
And it was a lot of lights, Your Honor, a lot of lights, a lot of lights, a lot of horns.
All right, that's it for the mayor's report. Council reports.
I have one, housing, as you heard, Golden, we got accepted, we're really happy about that, unfortunately, with that news comes some unfortunate news. We cannot use one of the county sites due to ADA, it's not.
Which we won 8 or 4.
I'd have to look into it, not off the top of my head, but, hopefully we will be asking them if it's appropriate to use a different county site, and we will also ask the county if they will allow us to use a different county site. Just as a heads up, that's going on, so though we did get accepted, we still have some barriers to cross before we're quite shovel ready. I've been in close contact with Hickenlooper staff about other possible funding for the projects. So we were looking high for all infrastructure costs being covered, or at least a large portion of them from my perspective. I have high hopes, and it's great to see that we are moving forward with that, because affordable housing is an intense necessity. And on that note, there are a lot of bills that are currently being passed in our legislative session at the state level that directly impact us. And for example, just cause eviction, that is a huge change, and that would be a huge change for our community to have a just cause with group being evicted. A little bit loosey-goosey right now, and it has impacted our community directly. So there are a lot of changes that are happening at the state level that I feel like we should stay on top of. And as much as I'd love to be the person staying on top of it, I do not get paid to stay on top of them, and I have no clue how we can do a better job of making sure that we take any opportunities, such as affordable housing, that's laws or funding that may come up soon, but I think it'd be important to kind of keep in touch with that, because there are some changes that are going to directly impact us, I feel, in the upcoming years even.
Well, it goes back to Lori's thought that if we don't have someone to chase the money, we're not gonna get the money.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any other city council reports? Okay. Are you thinking of something?
No,
Okay,
no,
good.
that's very much.
Thank you all very much. It is 9:15. Oh, no. It's 9:34. The city council is adjourned. Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Christiana.